Greetings. This channel is called These Are My Thoughts because these are my thoughts. So, I just wanted to talk about the state of Pokemon franchise and what Pokemon means to me and just changes that I like to see in future Pokemon games. I just want to start off first with, of course, Pokemon Sword and Shield. I bought the game, I bought Sword, and by the way, there's gonna be mostly footage of me playing Dark Souls 2 because I don't have a capture card for my Switch and I don't plan on buying one. Anyways, I bought Pokemon Sword because for some reason, even though I wasn't necessarily 100% happy with what I saw leading up to the game's release, I just can't skip a Pokemon game. I mean, I've been playing Pokemon since I was 9 years old. I started with the yellow version. So, I mean, this is a franchise that's been with me literally almost my entire life. The only Pokemon games I've ever skipped out on was Let's Go, Pikachu, and Eevee, because I didn't like the Pokemon Go mechanics put into a, fully fledged Pokemon game or whatever. Because the franchise is so important to me, I couldn't skip out on a main series game, and I just had to play it for myself to see if it was really as bad as everyone was going to say it was and all this stuff. And honestly, it was kind of a bittersweet experience because although I enjoyed playing the game, and I do enjoy the wild area for what it is, besides the massive frame rate drops when you're online, the franchise is definitely stagnant. I can't pretend like it isn't. There were a lot of changes to the game. Graphically, it is the best looking game thus far, but that's not really saying much when your entire franchise has been on handheld consoles for the entirety of its existence up until now. It just hasn't really improved that much over the years. In my opinion, the last true really great Pokemon games that I would consider classics are Black and White and Black 2 and White 2. Pretty much the entire DS era, Game Boy Advance era, Game Boy Color era, that's what I consider the heyday of Pokemon, like the golden era. Once it switched over into the 3DS era, it just kind of started going downhill for me. I enjoyed X and Y because it was the first Pokemon in 3D on a 3DS. Of course, that was groundbreaking. Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire I didn't enjoy as much. Ruby and Sapphire and basically the entirety of Gen 3 is my favorite gen of all time, and I don't feel like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire really captured the magic and beauty of those games as much. I don't think it translated as well to a 3D space, in my opinion. I still enjoyed them, they were okay, but then it really started to tank for me with Sun and Moon. I did not enjoy Sun and Moon or Sun and Ultra Moon. Didn't enjoy those at all. Let me start off with the 3D models. The 3D models just feel so lifeless. In my opinion, the sprites had more personality and character to them than the 3D models do. It kind of reminds me of a slightly worse version of the Pokemon Stadium models. And even those models had more personality than, the 3DS models and the Switch models. That's not to say that there aren't any good animations in Pokemon Sword and Shield. There are. I'm not gonna pretend that there aren't. Everyone wants to nitpick and point out the double kick animation when you have Cinderace's signature move, that animation, or Inteleon's snipe shot, or different things like that. Those exist. Double kick isn't the only move in the game. It's not even just a graphics thing for me. Of course, I would love to see Pokemon go bigger and have graphics on par with Mario Odyssey or Breath of the Wild. Of course I would love that. Who wouldn't? But I would want it to go even further beyond, in a sense that the entire idea of Pokemon and the concept of a mainline series Pokemon game just changes entirely. For example, instead of you have this predetermined way that you go about navigating a region, right? You start off at a certain gym, you go to the next one, and so forth, so you get to the Pokemon League. Cool. Well, how about make it to where you can challenge any Pokemon gym at whatever order you want to, and the gym leader's Pokemon they fit whatever level your Pokemon are at that time, at the time that you challenge them. That would be cool. And that would be leaning towards more of an open world type of experience. I'm hoping that the wild area is them kind of testing out the idea of an open world game, and maybe they'll implement a bigger and better version of it in future games. But I mean, Game Freak is known to implement features in a Pokemon game and then take them totally out in the next generation, so you can never tell with them. What if you had jobs? You know, what if you could work towards having a job like Persona style or something? Like, what if you wanted to be a gym leader? Like, what if in the journey of you becoming a Pokemon champion, what if on the way there you started off as a fledgling trainer, right? And the idea of this actually came to me from playing Pokemon Sword, like seeing your rivals eventually become gym leaders and all this stuff like that or whatever, and seeing whatever that dragon gym leader's name is, he constantly battles Leon to become a champion, even though he's a gym leader. And that idea is actually pretty cool. Like, what if you become powerful enough to, let's say, maybe you aren't strong enough to become a champion yet, but maybe you've racked up enough badges and become as good of enough of a trainer to become a gym leader. And so that's a job you have in the game. You're a gym leader, you pick a type that you want to represent, and you have Pokemon at that certain level that fit that certain theme or type of your gym or whatever. And while you're a gym leader, you're also out still on your Pokemon journey, catching Pokemon, raising them, battling, becoming, working towards becoming a champion. And to even add like a multiplayer aspect to it, I mean, this could be an optional thing. I don't know how well this would work, but what if, like, while you're out playing the game, you could get requests to battle from real players? Like, what if real players could challenge you and battle you for your gym badge? I think that would be really cool too. Or what if you didn't even want to become a champion? What if you want to become a researcher? Or what if you wanted to become a breeder? I mean, there were people who specifically wanted to become breeders in game, and they could breed Pokemon for the entire community of Pokemon players. You know what I mean? And then you could, I don't know, maybe there could be like a hub for breeding where different breeders breed certain Pokemon, or they can offer up the different Pokemon they breed, and you could choose from whatever. I mean, you could choose from the Pokemon that they've breeded or whatever, something like that. And I know these are kind of like half-baked things or whatever. I'm just throwing out ideas, but it's just so many different ways that Game Freak could innovate with the series, and they just aren't. A friend of mine that I talk to like pretty frequently on Discord or whatever, he mentioned how Pokemon kind of teaches kids like the wrong way to battle, because all the gym leaders have a single themed team. Like, they're all like one type, and everyone knows that having a team of all one type is pretty terrible. You need a balanced team, a well-balanced team to, cover each other's weaknesses and to be able to face all as much of different types of Pokemon as, as it can or whatever. Everyone knows that concept, but as a kid, when you're playing Pokemon and you see all these teams with, one type or whatever, you think that's the way to battle. I was the type of kid that my Charizard had like 4 different fire type moves, like Flamethrower, Fire Blast, Fire Spin, and Fly. Like, that was the type of kid I was. So when I experienced Pokemon in the Battle Tower that knew moves that like weren't even their typing, I was like, whoa, what is this? This is insane or whatever. And I was thinking, well, what if Game Freak put in like a difficulty setting to where you could have it to where they normally have it where all the gym leaders and everything have monotype teams or whatever, except for the champion. Or you could put it on a more competitive difficulty setting where the gym leaders actually have like balanced competitive teams. You know what I mean? Like, why not add that option for players who want that experience, or for people who want to learn how to battle competitively? Throughout the entire game, they could be learning how to battle competitively. That way they aren't just starting out they don't have to play through the entire game of Pokemon before they can start getting into the real nuts and bolts of competitive battling. If that's something that they want to get into, if they want to learn how to play Pokemon properly, that's something that they could use, like use that setting to where all the gym leaders have balanced teams, and that could be good practice for what battling is really like, because having all the gym leaders have monotype teams, that doesn't teach you competitive battling at all. I was never part of the hate train for Pokemon Sword and Shield. I was disappointed, especially when they announced that they weren't bringing all the Pokemon back. And I was actually really upset about Zorua and Zoroark being in that number of Pokemon not coming back, because those two Pokemon are literally my two favorite Pokemon of all time. Like, of all time. I even have a Zorua plushie, and I don't even collect plushies like that. But a friend of mine got me one as a Christmas gift because he knows I like Zorua so much. And then another friend of mine, she went to the Pokemon Center in New York and got me a Zoroark little figure or whatever. Like, my friends know how much I love Zorua and Zoroark, and I have ever since Black and White, every single game that Zorua has been in, I've had one on my team, and I've even bred them for competitive battling every single game since X and Y. So to not have Zorua in the game, like, that actually really stings, because I love those Pokemon. I love that Pokemon, and it sucked, man. It really sucked not having your favorite in there, even though my other favorites are in there, like Hydreigon's in, Gardevoir's in, Milotic's in, which is cool, but my number one favorite isn't, and that really stings, especially when I saw that stupid looking penguin Pokemon with the ice block for a head. I actually didn't even know that existed until a couple days ago, because I don't have Shield, so I hadn't seen all the Shield exclusives, and my friends told me about this penguin with the ice block, and when I saw that, I actually got mad. Like, I haven't been mad about the whole Dexit thing or whatever until then. That actually made me mad. I was like, why is this trash looking, horribly designed piece of crap in this game, and Zorua is not in the game? Zorua died for this? A penguin with an ice block for a head? And then when the ice block breaks, its head is still smaller than its body, and it still is completely stupid. It's just one of the worst designed Pokemon I've ever seen in my life. And it made it in over Zorua, and now I'm getting mad again. I need to relax. Let me relax. Game Freak, if you're going to remove all these Pokemon from the game, because, I mean, I get it. You're at like 807 Pokemon now. It's difficult to manage all of that. It's difficult to animate and do all that, whatever. I get it. Cool. That's your excuse you want to use. Great. I can see that. That's believable to me. Cool. But if you're going to cut that, right? You're cutting that aspect down. You're cutting down all the Pokemon. You're slicing it in half. Well, then you should take that time you gain from not having to animate 800 and something Pokemon and put it into other aspects of the game. Make other things better. Make all the animations better for the moves. Make the graphics better for the game. Give us a Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey level of graphical fidelity in these games. Add more features. Add more things to it. Make it more open world. Do all these other things. Like, that's why people are so upset, because you remove half of the Pokemon, but you didn't improve on anything else. If Game Freak had, improved on every other way that I said they should improve on, then I don't think people would have been as upset about Dexit or whatever, because look at all these improvements we're getting. Open world, graphics, blah, 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 all that stuff like that. I think the thing that makes people so upset and makes me, disappointed as well, is that we lost half of the Pokedex, but the games really didn't improve that much. So the optics of it seem like, okay, you're just cutting corners to make it easier for yourself because you have this deadline you got to meet. So instead of having more people work on the game, or not releasing an annual title or whatever, just waiting, taking 3 years or 4 years to give us a fully fledged new experience on the Switch, you're just like, we have this deadline to meet. We don't have time to animate 100 and some Pokemon, or 800 and some Pokemon. slice it in half and just give them what we're gonna give them. It is what it is, and we'll just deal with the backlash as we get it. I was watching a Jim Sterling video the other day that he did on Pokemon Sword and Shield, and he said that
Pokemon is kind of the Dynasty Warriors of Nintendo, you know?
And honestly, I can't disagree with that. I think that's a really good comparison. It is starting to get kind of like Nintendo's Dynasty Warriors. But anyways, I've been rambling on too much. I gotta find a way to end this video. I've been talking for 23 minutes. So that's what I think about Pokemon Sword and Shield. I don't think they're terrible games. I don't think they're horrible. I don't even think they're trash. I think they're enjoyable. I enjoyed my time with the games. I'm still playing Sword now, but it could be better. Pokemon could be better. It should be better. And I want it to be better. It needs to be better. I can't see people just accepting more of the same, especially after all the backlash that Pokemon Sword and Shield have gotten. I'm hoping that Game Freak has realized, hey man, we can't keep doing the same stuff anymore. Everyone's starting to wise up now. People weren't wising up at first with Sun and Moon or Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu, but with Pokemon Sword and Shield, finally people are starting to catch on. So I'm hoping Game Freak realizes we got to do something different. We actually have to innovate with this series now because people are catching on, and we may not be able to get away with being the #1 franchise in the world every time we put out a game. We can't expect people to just consume everything we put out just without, questioning anything anymore, because I think the most positive thing about the Sword and Shield debacle is that Game Freak knows now. Game Freak knows that we're not willing to just accept anything that they throw out. I honestly can't even see myself returning to Pokemon after Sword and Shield if they just keep giving us more swords and shields. These have been my thoughts on Pokemon and the state that it's in and Sword and Shield and everything else. I'll see y'all later. Peace.